Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right?
Oh!
The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa,
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
and he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs. Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict Chiefs post-game show. Alas, it is not a victory party as the Kansas City Chiefs fell to the Detroit Lions 24-23. Or rather, I should say, the guys who will not make the team for the Chiefs blew the game and lost to the guys who will not make the team for the Lions late in the fourth quarter. I'm Patrick Allen. Welcome in. If you're watching live on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? We've got tons of Chiefs content for you Monday through Thursday. And then, of course, every day that the Chiefs play, we've got a pregame show, a halftime show, and a postgame show, which you are watching now. Shout out to some of the folks in the chat. By the way, man, I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and so your name just cracks me up. Lord Swoldemort. No big injuries. Deep ball to Worthy. Ariza looking much better. Absolutely. We're going to break all of that down, kind of get into some of the details of this game. If you didn't catch the halftime show, I kind of rapid fire did them. I'll be honest with you, there wasn't a ton in the second half to kind of hang your hat on after the first half. Not very much, other than the Ian Book. Not a good quarterback. I don't mean to disparage the young man, but it didn't go well. 2 of 4 for 16 yards and just looked very out to sea out there. But that's okay. That's okay. He's not going to be on the roster. All right, again, make sure you hit that like button. Let's dive in a little bit. So the Chiefs lose 24-23 to the Lions. Kind of annoying just because the Lions beat the Chiefs in the opener last year when they didn't have Travis Kelce, when they didn't have Chris Jones, although he was there. He was just up in a suite with his agents. And so, we said this on the pregame show. It's nice to just get a win, even though it's preseason, even though it doesn't matter. You'd like to see the Chiefs with the W. Didn't happen, though. It could have happened, but they just couldn't get out of their own way there at the end. Woo's guy in the chat says, ton of positive takeaways today. I'm honestly really happy with after that. Who cares how it ended with the third and fourth stringers? Absolutely. Right perspective, right? While you'd always like to see the Chiefs win, this is an exhibition game. It doesn't matter. And what you saw was a little bit of life after kind of a listless, brief appearance from the starters against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Chiefs looking a little bit more like the Chiefs in this one. Let's dive into some of the things, some of the observations that I had during this game. Now, I said this in the halftime show. Among those who were not dressed for the Chiefs today, didn't even dress. Obviously, Hollywood Brown's got the injury. Justin Reed's been banged up. No Clyde Edwards-Helaire today. No Nick Bolton, who's been dealing with an injury. Jalen Watson, same. Wanye Morris was out. He's got a bone bruise. Juwan Taylor had an injury last week at the end of camp. I think it was a shoulder. They said they don't think he's going to miss very much time. Nothing serious, but obviously it's preseason, so you're not going to put him out there for that. Derek Nottie, Chris Jones as well. Shout out to my guy Slothy for the super chat. Wow, man, appreciate you. Damn it, I thought for sure the Chiefs would win since Goff wasn't playing, but behind the back pass, baby, let's hecking go. So that was the story of the game, in my opinion, other than a few other things, some great plays by Xavier Worthy. This is what everybody's going to be talking about. If you turn on Sports Talk on Monday, they're going to be every show on ESPN. They're going to be talking about the Patrick Mahomes behind the back pass to Travis Kelce. If you didn't catch it, just go on Twitter. It's all over the place. We've been hearing about this behind the back pass now for a couple of seasons. We've seen clips of the Chiefs practicing the behind the back pass, but it was sort of up in the air of like, are they ever actually going to try this in a game? This is kind of a nice split the difference thing. It's a game that doesn't matter. It's been built up so much at this point that if I was Patrick Mahomes, I'd be just afraid to do it, even in a preseason game, because, you don't want the first time you do it to just, to land on the ground and to get, God forbid, get intercepted. So, and during the halftime show, we're talking about this and we're all laughing about and celebrating. It was an awesome play. And in the second half, Patrick Mahomes gets interviewed by the in-house staff there and throws Travis Kelce under the bus. Now, I thought for sure that they called that this was the design of the play, and the Chiefs have been talking about doing it. Mahomes said, Coach Reid wants me to do it in a game, and they said, hey, preseason game, it's going to be the last action that probably Mahomes sees. Let's give it a go. According to Mahomes, and I don't know if I believe him, but according to Mahomes, that's not what happened. What he said was, Travis didn't run the route he was supposed to run. I was mad. I was pissed off at Travis. Out of spite, I threw a behind the back pass, but now it's going to be a highlight. So then they interview Travis a little bit later, and he's like, no, I couldn't hear. He threw Patrick under the bus, saying, blaming Patrick's Kermit voice, saying he couldn't hear him, so he wasn't sure what route he was supposed to run. So Mahomes said Travis was supposed to go out into the flat. He didn't. So then Travis is standing, back near where the center was, and Mahomes is out there with the ball. He's got a defender in his face, so he can't throw it right at the defender. So out of spite, he says, he throws the behind the back pass. First of all, how hilarious is it if they really didn't call the play and that Patrick Mahomes is, because he's Patrick Mahomes, just got mad and said, fine, this is the only way I can get you the ball, and impromptu throws a behind the back pass, though they've practiced the move, and it worked, and they got a first down. I mean, this doesn't surprise me at all, and it shouldn't surprise you if you've been watching Patrick Mahomes play football. Let me know in the chat, everybody. Sound off. Do you think Patrick's fibbing and that they had it planned and then he's just giving Travis Kelce the business and Travis Kelce's giving it back? Or do you think Patrick Mahomes actually, out of spite, just decided to go ahead and throw a behind the back pass and was able to complete it? Slothy says, I believe in Patrick is too wholesome to lie. Woo's guy says Mahomes is the GOAT of football, the GOAT of trolling. He is a pretty good troll. He's really calculated about it, which I really appreciate. Again, it's the Arrowhead Addict podcast, the post-game show, breaking down some of the things that happened in this preseason game. A much better performance from the Chiefs than the first game. Ben Tyler says it was 100% plan. Weston says behind the back pass. And thanks to the Buffalo Bills for letting us get Xavier Worthy. That's true. The Bills traded with the Chiefs, which we were all shocked about during the draft, so the Chiefs can move up to get Worthy. And then Ira says, LOL, and Kelsey's imitation of Mahomes' voice is hilarious and spot on. It's sort of funny watching this kind of all play out. Like, as somebody who was covering the Chiefs as the editor of Arrowhead Addict back in like 2009, 2010, the Chiefs were so bad. And I used to do like little vlogs and stuff after those preseason games. And I was all jacked up because, like, if I saw anything good, like the preseason was like dead serious for me back then as a Chiefs fan, because all the guys you were seeing, like a lot of them were going to make the team. There was no talent. And it was just sort of like, God, we're so bad. And you were just like I know I was clinging to any hope that there was like some positive thing that the Chiefs would do in this preseason game. And now it's like you're watching, and like I'm not saying they don't care about the preseason, but like it's just, they're losing the game at the end. They're like laughing on the sidelines. They're like, whatever, man. Like, they're doing behind the back passes. They're trolling each other on the sideline. And it's not because they don't care or they're not detailed. It's because they're just so good and they are so detailed that they're able to go out and utilize preseason for very specific reasons, to try some things out, to shake off some rust, and to have a good time. They're trying to bring fun back to the offense. And it's just like they're relaxed, right? They're not all uptight. they're not all trying to make the team. Like, you don't have guys who like your starting quarterback is like unproven like you did back in the day. And it is really just sort of a joy just to even watch them in the preseason as a fan and be relaxed. And like, if something doesn't go well in the preseason, you're just kind of like, yeah, okay, like whatever, like call me in week 4 if that's still going on, and then I'll panic. That doesn't mean that there's not some things to analyze from these games, but by and large, it just doesn't matter. And the Chiefs reflect that. All right, let's break down some of it though. But that was pretty much the only notable thing, honestly, that happened in the second half. Although I will say I was not shocked, maybe a little disappointed that at the beginning of the second half, FAU is still out there, which, that's one of those things. Like FAU still being out there is actually a lot like those 2010 Chiefs teams where you had a guy you took in the first round and like things just aren't going well. And so they've still got them out there playing in the third quarter because they need the extra reps so bad. That's kind of the feeling that you're getting with Felix Anudike-Uzomah. Like, he's a first round pick at this point. He should be the starter. And after having a season of seasoning, and he should be the starter and he should be out of there with everybody else. He's not. So that's the Chiefs coaching staff telling you and telling him he's still got some work to do and they want to give him the extra reps. That's kind of disappointing. Let's see. Beatrice says, I hate Ian Book. MF blew the game. Yeah, look, I trolled Ian Book a little bit. I feel for the kid. Look, this is probably his only shot, in the NFL. And so it's, you do feel a little bit bad, but it kind of is what it is. Like, these guys are tough. They're professionals. They understand that, like, every level you go up, it's harder. And sometimes you just kind of reach your limit. And that doesn't mean his career is over, but like, it probably isn't going to be moving forward with the Chiefs. Slothy says FAU had a big play after everyone was taking a shit on him. Yeah, I mean, look, he's talented, right? I mean, there's a reason why he went in the first round. The question is, can he do it on a consistent basis? And can he do it against the people that the Chiefs need him to do it against, and not, in like the third quarter of a preseason game. Okay. Some other observations, and let me know in the chat if you're out there. Again, hit that like button. Let me know your observations, your reactions to everything that you saw in this game, especially from the Chiefs starters. And if you've got something insightful to say, I will read it right here on the podcast. The big thing right off the top is the Xavier Worthy catch, the 39-yard reception on third down. I thought it really showed his ball tracking skills. His hands were on display. He did a nice job of reeling that one. It was a little high. And we've seen this in clips of him in training camp, contorting his body, staying upright, making catches, displaying good balance. Patrick Mahomes was targeting him a lot during the series that he was in the game, and rightfully so. The Chiefs are going to need him with Hollywood Brown likely to miss the start of the season. Could be 1, 2, 3 games. The Chiefs are going to need Xavier Worthy to grow up fast. He did have a fumble, which is a little concerning when you think about his size, but you can see the athleticism. And Travis Kelce, when he was getting interviewed in the second half, was asked about Xavier Worthy. He said obviously the athletic tools are there, the speed's there, but it's not just that. He really appreciates the way that Xavier Worthy comes to work every day, which is high praise coming from a veteran like Kelce, and a good sign if you're a Chiefs fan. Whereas, you have another guy like Kadarius Toney who just, doesn't know how to line up, and who's been in the league for years. He's been on multiple teams. So it's nice to hear Xavier Worthy, another guy with a talented skill set physically, is taking things seriously and isn't expecting, just because he was, an early pick, to waltz right out there and be Jerry Rice. Take It Back says, I feel much better after this game compared to the first. I'm so excited for the regular season. Patrick, what are you looking forward to the most this season? Good question. I got to be honest with you, man. I'm hoping that just on the whole, the Chiefs are a little bit more fun to watch. And I know that probably sounds like, first world problem, spoiled Chiefs fan, but I do miss a little bit of the offensive creativity and explosiveness that we'd seen in previous years. Whereas last year was just as a Chiefs fan, it was just frustrating. It was yes, they were winning, but when you've had filet mignon, like maybe you don't want to go back to sirloin, right? And that's kind of how I felt last year, especially with the frustration with the receivers. Patrick Mahomes is just such a marvel to watch, and it's very satisfying to watch him as he's morphed into this like lethal, carve you up like Tom Brady style. Like he has that in his tool belt now. Excuse me, and that's great. And when it wins Super Bowls, like I'm all for it. But yeah, man, like I want some of those games where like he makes some ridiculous plays. I want to see the downfield passing game open back up. And I think with Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, it will. There's a lot more speed on this team now. So that's what I'm looking forward to, like as far as throughout the season, rather than like last season where it's like, man, I'd come on the post-game show, and it's like, we're annoyed. Like they won, but we're annoyed. And they lost a lot of games last year too for them. So hopefully offense is snappy this year and kind of back to a little bit more about what we're used to. And then of course, the Super Bowl, I'm fortunate enough to get to go and cover the Super Bowl, and it's going to be down in New Orleans this year. I'm really hoping the Chiefs can get there, make a run at this 3-peat. I think it'll be absolutely electric down in the Big Easy. So I'm looking forward to being down there and hopefully watching the Chiefs try to win another one. Okay, so Xavier Worthy is looking really good. Very excited about him. Karlaftis, I thought he had a nice speed rush there on the Lions' first offensive snap. He forced an incompletion, almost nabbed the sack. I know he's going against the backups, but he looks like he's ready for the regular season. Good comment here from Woo's guy. The frequency to Rice was reassuring. And of course, those two Worthy plays, haven't even tried to unleash Kelsey yet. Can't wait to see it all working in tandem. That's a great point. Like Rice, Rice had some really nice plays in this game in the short period that he was in there. Let me see how he finished up here, pulling up the stats. So 4 catches for 35 yards for Rice. He was targeted 5 times. So targets tell us a little bit of something, right? Like what are the Chiefs trying to get accomplished in this game? So when you take a look at those targets, you can see, were they trying to force the ball into some people? Did they have some design plays to kind of get them going, especially since like Xavier Worthy didn't have a catch in his first game. So Xavier Worthy was targeted 6 times during the drives that Patrick Mahomes and Worthy, I think he played. It wasn't all Mahomes targets because he caught the touchdown pass from Carson Wentz, but Worthy targeted 6 times. Rashee Rice targeted 5 times. Justin Watson only once in this game, but it was a reception for 20 yards. So those are your top target earners in this one were Worthy and Rice. Rashee Rice looked just like the guy we left last season in the Super Bowl, doing his thing out there. I know everybody's worried about the looming possible suspension. It seems like maybe he'll get through this season without having to face any discipline. It's coming. It's going to happen. But with the way that the NFL is reacting right now, they may wait for the legal process to play out. If that's the case, then he may not have to face this suspension until next year, maybe the beginning of the season, something along those lines. All right, let's dive into some more observations. Again, Arrowhead Addict podcast, Patrick Allen here, wrapping up the game today. Let me know your thoughts about the game in the chat. I will read them, as many of them as I can, right here. Here's a good one from Ira. Who do you think is more likely to get cut, Tony or Moore? Kadarius Toney, 100%. I don't believe there is any benefit to the Chiefs in cutting Kadarius Toney, but he's like dead last on the depth chart. And he gets in there today, and what does he do? On his first play of the preseason, he commits 2 penalties. First, he lines up wrong and covers up Irv Smith, so he gets an illegal formation call, and then he gets called for holding a little bit later in the play. This guy, look, man, it's nothing personal against him. He stinks. He stinks. Like, I don't care how talented he is physically. He doesn't line up right. He's injured all the time. He's dropping the ball. So you got mental mistakes on top of a lack of availability, on top of lack of production. And he can't catch, and he's dropping balls. He's a wide receiver. Like, it's just, he helped the Chiefs win a Super Bowl, and that was great. But like, there's a reason why the Giants cut bait with him. They actually, got a return from him for the Chiefs. The Chiefs, look, Brett Veach took a shot here. Like I said, he ended up helping them win a Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, like, the experiment is over. It is a sunk cost. There may be no benefit to cutting him, but there honestly may be a detriment to keeping him on the roster. He's taking up space from somebody else. It's not going to work out. They had him back there. He returned a kick or a punt or something. They've got guys that can do that. Sky Moore in this game had a couple of nice returns. I like Sky Moore much better maybe in the kick returner role than in the punt returner role, just because, we saw some of the mistakes that he made in punt returns with catching the ball as well, where he'll have a little bit more, it'll be a little bit easier to catch those kickoffs. But like Sky Moore's a guy, he's a young guy. Maybe you don't want to totally give up on him yet. So keep him on the roster and utilize some of the skill sets that he has, and just send this distraction of Kadarius Toney out the door. Like, let somebody else, some desperate team pick him up, see if they can try to fix him, and then go from there. Weston says Sky Moore was taking reps with the second and third stringers also. Yeah, look, I mean, the Chiefs are telling you what they think about Sky Moore. Like, he has not. They drafted Xavier Worthy last year. Was pretty much a disaster for Sky Moore. But he's a young guy. You could try to keep developing him. But like, there's a reason why like they trust Justin Watson more than they do Sky Moore. It is what it is. That's their evaluation of him, and they're telling you what they think by how they're rolling him out there. Iris says, yeah, I agree. And one more question. What is your honest opinion of the new kickoff rules? That's tough, man. Fine. Like, I haven't been watching every single preseason game, but I try to always catch, if I see one on, I try to catch a kickoff just to kind of see how it's developing. I think it's a new thing, so it's a work in progress, and it's the preseason. So if teams are going to try some trickery or some special things, you better believe they're going to hold those back. They're not going to put those on tape in the preseason. So right now you're getting a pretty vanilla, it's like almost like a running play, but you get a little bit more of a, head start or running start. I like it better than, kickoffs out of the back of the end zone. Like, at least it's a football play. We'll see how stable of a play it is, or if it leads to like wonky outcomes. But if teams get a little bit creative with it, it could be a lot of fun. But I will say, like, I was expecting a lot more excitement even in the preseason than I've seen so far. The funny thing that I've been noticing, this happened to a couple of Lions players. I saw it in the very first preseason game of the year, and like the Hall of Fame game. Have you noticed that, like, the games that you've been watching, that guys are just like falling flat on their face before they even get to the defenders? I keep seeing it, like, just right when they're about to get to the defenders, like they try to make a cut and they fall forward. I don't know if it's kind of a weird thing, like they're like in the normal kickoff rules or the old kickoff rules, you had a running start and they had a running start, and so maybe you're going about the same speed. Maybe what's throwing these guys off is that they're not allowed to start running until you catch the ball. And so I don't know, maybe, and they've got blockers like right there. So I don't know, maybe it's causing like some sort of weird perception thing and guys are tripping, but it's not been going great. I will say that. Shout out to Slothy for gifting 10 Arrowhead Addict podcast memberships. Snatch those up. Maybe you already have. We've got a great community here at Arrowhead Addict. We've got a private Discord. I just fired up the Fantasy Football League. We're getting ready to have the draft for members only. It's just a lot of fun. If you're in Kansas City, outside of Kansas City, like I'm in Chicago, if you're looking to connect with other Chiefs fans, like-minded Chiefs fans, it's a lot of fun. And, we've got these special events. We let you know when we come to town. We have happy hours, like virtual happy hours and stuff like that. And we just really value our members. And the private Discord is great because it's a place for us to like hang out, talk Chiefs football. We watch the games in there, stuff like that. So check out the link in the description. It's a great way to get involved. Slothy says the phenomenon is called slippy feet, and it happens more than fans would like to admit. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with these kickoffs, but so Chiefs defense, I thought I was a little bit concerned they were a little undisciplined. They had too many men on the field. I guess, get that stuff out of the way in the preseason. You had to deal with that penalty. Then they did kind of like a nice savvy move a couple plays later where they did the Lions had a 4th down and the Chiefs defense did a lateral movement, and the Lions were convinced that the Chiefs had jumped off sides. And so they stood up and touched the Chiefs. And guess what happened? They got penalized and then they punted the ball. So welcome Ira, my guy. Ira, you're in the rookie camp. If you, I think that'll get you access to the Discord review. If you want to participate, you can upgrade, I think, to the next level. But get in there and check it out. That's a great way to do that. Okay, some other observations, and again, fire off your observations and questions in the chat. Carson Steele. Okay, this guy has kind of the big run last week where he shows the toughness and breaks 3 tackles. That gets everybody excited. What is it going to mean for this week? I was certainly one of the ones that was wondering. He goes out there and he gets carries with the first team. I think on the second drive of the game, he's out there with Patrick Mahomes. He ended up with 3 carries for 8 yards. He had a 4-yard run, nothing to write home about. But then they put him in there and he returned a kick, and he was playing on special teams. So he goes in there and he returns a kick for, where is it? 1 kick return for 36 yards. That's better than the kick return Nico Remigio had at 31 yards, but better than Reese Zammit at 27 yards. So Carson Steele, he was in there and doing some pass protection, chipping. This is a guy that they seem to like as a little bit of a utility guy, a Swiss Army knife. They want to use him. They've got him listed as a fullback so he can block. He can run a little bit. He brings some toughness. They're playing him on special teams. They're trying to figure out if this guy is going to take up one of their 53 roster spots. And I would say right now, it sure seems like it. Some good news, by the way, if you were watching the halftime show, we reported to you that our guy, the GOAT long snapper, James Winchester, was questionable return with shoulder injury. Noah Gray, shout out to him, by the way, was out there doing the long snapping duties, did a great job. Winchester was back out there in the second half, so he's good to go. Thank goodness for that. You don't want long snapper issues. You never want to hear James Winchester's name except for when they're handing out his Super Bowl rings. All right, some more observations from this one. And let me know in the chat, are you guys like on the Carson Steele train? Like, would you rather have like Carson Steele make the roster and then you have some sort of mixture of like Isaiah Pacheco, Carson Steele, and then like CEH, Deneric Prince? Speaking of Deneric Prince, he had a nice run there. Was that in the second half or was it in the first half? I can't remember. But he busted off like a 40-yard run, Deneric Prince. So it was nice to see that after you heard some really positive things about him coming out of camp. He ended up leading the Chiefs in rushing, 7 carries, 47 yards. Again, most of them come on the 41-yard scamper. And then you saw Xavier Worthy get a handoff and a little reverse thing there. He got that out for 11 yards, so just demonstrating his speed. But interestingly enough, the Chiefs threw the ball 35 times in this game, only ran it 18. They just didn't seem interested in trying to run a ton. You got the 3 carries for Carson Steele, 7 for Deneric Prince, and then Ingram only got 1 carry for 4 yards. Isaiah Pacheco, they gave him the ball once when the Stars were out there for 2 yards. And then Amani Bailey, 2 carries. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like, I don't know what it is. Like the Chiefs know what they've got in the running backs and they're not really trying to figure too much out there, or they're worried about the wear and tear of running backs. And so they don't want to pound them in the preseason. They want to evaluate the blocking, all kinds of things, reasons for that. But the Chiefs not running very much at all. Slothy says, I'm going to steal a ticket to the Undefeated Express. You're hilarious, my man. KCDC says, didn't realize Gray was a backup long snapper. Isn't it fun when you find things out like that? Like with Justin Reed, he can kick. It could be like an emergency kicker, or Noah Gray is a backup long snapper. Like what? You would think like it would be like Creed Humphrey. Like wouldn't you think Creed Humphrey would be the backup long snapper? Kind of interesting. Oh yeah, Woo's guy. How about Ariza? Ariza's punts. I was talking about him on the postgame show last week and saying like, I want to see a little bit more. He finishes the game he had a 61-yarder. I think he had 2 punts over 60 yards. He punted 6 times for 295 yards. So that's an average of 49.2 yards. And he had 4 of his 6 were inside the 20. I would say that is a success. Harrison Butker, 3 for 3 on field goals, hit a 56-yarder, 2 for 2 on extra points. He is in mid-season form. All in all, from the starters, much better, much more like what you wanted to see. Give me 1 second. My wife is messaging me. Okay. She's got the baby. She's out. I gotta respond. Second half, like Chris Oladukin, 6 of 7, 99 yards, and a touchdown. And he had so this is a guy we never really talk about because he's probably not going to make the team. Cornell Powell, former draft pick of the Chiefs. Did you guys see that play in the second half, or had you already tuned out? Really nice catch and run from Cornell Powell. 64 yards. Was only targeted twice in this game. A nice highlight for him. Again, like he's, it just doesn't seem like the Chiefs are thinking he's ever going to be a factor on the main roster. This may be his last ride. If it was, congrats for him on that. And maybe he got to put something on tape. Maybe somebody else will take a chance on him. Again, Xavier Worthy, 3 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown in limited action. You love to see that. Nice ball to him from Carson Wentz. Again, fire off in the chat. Arrowhead Addict post-game show. Let me know your observations from this one. I like the pick from Keith Taylor. I'm intrigued by the DB situation here with the Chiefs. Is Keith Taylor a guy that's in the mix? He was playing early last week. Now he gets an interception, so maybe the Chiefs were seeing something that they liked with him. I actually saw Louis Riddick on Twitter talking about how deep he thinks the Chiefs DBs are. So, this is a guy who knows what he's talking about. So that's really nice to hear. And he's talking about not necessarily their performance in the preseason game, but what he's seeing, the technique that he's seeing out of them. He thinks it's, I believe the word he used was ridiculous. Okay. Let's see. More observations. Winchester's good. Wentz, I hope to see more out of Wentz in this preseason than what we have. He did a nice job getting the ball to Xavier Worthy on that touchdown pass, but let's be honest, Xavier Worthy did all the work there, juked the guy out of his cleats and got wide open, and all Wentz had to do was put it up for him. It's, again, tough to judge because he's got limited action here, but he finishes the day 5 of 10 for 31 yards, not particularly impressive. He missed Deneric Prince on a third down where Deneric Prince was open, got behind his man, just overthrew him. So it'll be interesting to see how they play this last game. I don't think Patrick Mahomes will play next week, nor will the starters. This is what the Chiefs did last year. They did not play the starters in the third game. But what quarterback do they play the majority of that game? They've been very Ian Book got a lot of time in that first game and a lot of time in some time at the end of this one. He only attempted 4 passes. If I was Andy Reid, I would not play Ian Book at all in the last game. I would give Wentz a half and Oladukin a half. Oladukin's been hanging around. He throws a nice ball. He's intriguing. I'd like to see a little bit more of him. I don't think the Chiefs are going to carry 3 quarterbacks, but it would be nice to see him get a little bit more reps and see if he continues to hang around. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. But I just wanted to see more of Wentz just because, God forbid, he should be called into duty. I was hoping that he would, show us a little something to make us feel confident. I wasn't the biggest Blaine Gabbert fan last year. R.I.P. Chad Henne. Anything's possible. I wish he was back. Digital Pixel says the Bears rocked it today. Will be a fun next game for the Chiefs. Yeah, I wonder how they'll handle it. Obviously, they've got a rookie quarterback that they're trying to get reps to. He's looked really good. He made a really nice pass in this game. He had another play where he put the ball out on a deep pass, and it was a pass interference. I'm in here in Chicago, so I was watching a little bit of that game, but he actually made a throw, very Mahomesian throw, Caleb Williams, which, often gets compared to Mahomes. And don't get too riled up when people do that. They're not saying that Caleb Williams is going to be Patrick Mahomes, but they do have they do play a similar style of ball. And look, it's really actually an interesting conversation because I remember them talking about Patrick Mahomes before he got drafted, and they were like, Patrick Mahomes he doesn't have bad footwork. He has no footwork. Well, that doesn't matter, does it? He makes the off-platform throws. He has the arm strength and accuracy to do it. And I think as time goes on throughout the rest of Patrick's career, there's guys in junior high right now who have been watching Patrick Mahomes and may be imitating him. They may find that they have a similar skill set to Patrick Mahomes. And so when you have a guy that's transcendent like Patrick Mahomes, or like the way that Steph Curry played basketball and how he kind of changed, and those Warriors teams changed the way basketball was played with three ball. Now everybody's shooting a three, and they're very proficient at it. But when they came on the scene, it was like the Warriors or like the Splash Brothers. We've never seen anything like this. You're seeing people, Caitlin Clark plays the game of basketball like Steph Curry. She jacks it from half court. There's a very similar style there. You're going to see guys start to come into the league as Patrick Mahomes gets deep into his 30s that are playing like Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes is doing it. They're not going to be as stringent probably or strict about coaching some of his quote unquote bad habits out of the guys that can do it, like a Caleb Williams. If he's able to play that way, let him be him rather than try to make him into something he's not. That doesn't mean Patrick doesn't need to work on his footwork or improve little things where it can be a detriment to him. But he has a skill set where he can do things that maybe like Tom Brady probably couldn't do some of the things that Patrick Mahomes can do physically. He just couldn't do them. So Tom Brady needed to play a certain way, tailored his game for that. That's certainly one way to do it. And obviously he's the GOAT in terms of winning Super Bowls. That's one way to do it. Patrick Mahomes has another way. Woo's guy says they will definitely be calling Caleb the next Mahomes if they aren't already. And if he flashes on the next preseason game, it'll only speed up the narrative. Yeah, look, like it'll probably feel a little bit annoying because it's like we're Chiefs fans and we waited for so long for Patrick Mahomes to actually have the undisputed best quarterback in the league and have him be in the conversation for the greatest of all time at this stage in his career. You're kind of greedy, right? Like you kind of just want to keep it and hold it to your chest and be like, no, nobody else can be good, right? No other quarterbacks can be good. I don't want to hear about any other quarterbacks. Don't even dare say somebody else's name in the same sentence with Patrick Mahomes, which is frankly unfair to that quarterback that you do that to. That said, understand that this is just the natural order of things, the natural life cycle of things. Patrick Mahomes comes along. He's outrageous. He's doing things nobody's ever seen before. People start saying, like, could he catch Brady? He's so good before he'd even won a Super Bowl. I'm sure that annoyed the hell out of Patriots fans, right? It's fine. Enjoy it. Just sit back and see if anybody's able to approach his greatness, because that's kind of what happens, right? Like, you think Joe Montana is the best quarterback that you're ever going to see. And then here comes Tom Brady and he does things that just blow your mind. Then comes Patrick Mahomes, and he's like a combination of Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Like he's like an uber quarterback. He's absolutely incredible. So then I sit back and enjoy him. And I say, don't turn into a hater. I had this guy on Twitter after Mahomes did the behind the back pass. And he was like, you only threw it 2 yards, bro. And I'm like, man, can you just not enjoy? You're a sports fan, right? We're all sports fans. I don't like Max Crosby, for example, right? Love to watch the dude play. I'm just a sports fan, man. I love football, and that dude is awesome. Don't like him, hate his guts. He's a Raider. Respect the hell out of his game. He's a fun player to watch. And that's what's going to happen with these quarterbacks. These guys are going to come along. People are going to start comparing them to Mahomes. You're going to get annoyed, but just enjoy the good things that they do and know that like it all works itself out in the end, right? Like even the Mahomes Brady like GOAT debate, like don't even stress about it, man. Like it's going to work itself out. Either he's going to be the GOAT or he's not. And everybody will probably come to some kind of consensus. But right now he's on a great track to have a shot at what 3 years ago, somebody probably would have been like, no, it's like, if it, stat wise and wins and stuff, like he might be able to get into Brady's stratosphere, and maybe there'll be a debate about whether or not he's the GOAT. But like the Brady defenders have always been like, he's just too many Super Bowls. He'll never be able to do it. And he might not. It's an insane amount of Super Bowls that Brady won. But now that Patrick Mahomes has done what he's done, he actually has a shot at it. And that's unbelievable and exciting. So sit back, enjoy it, and we'll see how it all plays out. My guy, Angry Drunken German, says, I start hearing about Caleb and start feeling like Troy Aikman. Yeah, I love it. Kathy says, ADT, I pray for you. All right. Any last comments that you guys have on the game? Fire them off in the chat. What did you see? What did you like? But I think probably what we're Nico Remigio in the second half had a nice punt return. Happy to see that for him as he's trying to make the team. Kind of a quiet game for McCole Hardman. I feel like those two were kind of fighting for a roster spot. Maybe they both end up making it, but Hardman targeted twice, no catches, no yards. Again, preseason. How do you like? But I mean, we talked about Kadarius Toney. Do you remember how I said at the top of the show, like keeping Kadarius Toney on the roster, even though they have nothing to gain from cutting him financially, might be more of a detriment to the team than just letting him go? Kadarius Toney's his contribution tonight: 1 reception for -4 yards and 2 penalties on 1 play. This guy does more damage than he does good. He's it's like at least DeMarcus Robinson, when he ran backwards after he caught the ball, would usually figure it out and turn around and try to run forward again and sometimes gain some yardage. Kadarius Toney, and I'll be fair to him. The 4-yard loss wasn't really his fault. It was a screen. Lucas Niang completely whiffed on the block, so he never had a chance. But still, he didn't do anything else because he's Kadarius Toney. Go to the chat one more time. Trey T says, right now at this moment, who gets the wide receiver 6 spot, and do they keep 6 or 7 in your opinion? All right, let me just pull up the depth chart just so I've got my head screwed on straight. This is the unofficial depth chart. So it depends on a couple things, Trey. I think is Hollywood Brown going to start the year on IR? If he does, he has to miss 4 games, but then he can come back. Hopefully not, right? Like based on the timetable, he should not be out that deep into the season, but they did say 4 to 6 weeks. So it's like if they're like pretty sure he's going to be out for 3 games no matter what, do they just go ahead and put him on IR to save a roster spot? I don't think they will. I think they want to try to get him back if they can get him back. So you've got Hollywood Brown, right? So let's just pretend that that's not going to happen. He's on the roster. Hollywood Brown, lock, right? Rashee Rice, lock. There's 2. Justin Watson, he's like listed as your 3 right now, 3 and 4. Justin Watson, Xavier Worthy, locks. That's 4. So now you've got what, 5 or 6, right? So on the depth chart, they had then Sky Moore at 5 and then Justin Ross at 6. He's having a nice camp. But again, missed some blocks. Didn't really do a whole lot in this one, but you see the talent. So this could be good news for Justin Ross. And I did see him playing some special teams in this game. I think Sky Moore is a lock, right? That gets you your 5th guy. He's rookie control, all that stuff. Still pretty young. I think he sneaks in on the roster, especially because they're using him on special teams, and he had a really nice day returning kicks. So let's just say Sky Moore, he's in. So that leaves that's 5. So that if they're only keeping 6, you're looking at Justin Ross, McCole Hardman, and Nico Remigio for that last spot. On the depth chart, the wide receiver depth chart, they've got Nico Remigio only ahead of Cornell Powell. It's tough, man. With Hollywood Brown being injured, I would think maybe they keep 7. So let's say Justin Ross hangs on and that gets 6. And then it's between Nico and McCole Hardman. Now, if I'm making that decision as a fan, I'm going to keep Nico because I know what I have in McCole Hardman. They let him walk. They brought him back because things were such a disaster. He is what he is. So it depends on if the coaching staff thinks Nico can be more than McCole Hardman. Have a higher ceiling than McCole Hardman. If they do, they should keep Nico. He can help out in the return game. He's been hanging around. Why not give him a shot? McCole's had his shot. It didn't work out. Then again, you've got injury. You've got familiarity, playing in big spots and big games. McCole Hardman obviously helped him win the Super Bowl. So if I was a betting man, I would say you're looking at Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Justin Watson, Xavier Worthy, Sky Moore, Justin Ross, McCole Hardman. That's how I think it might go, but we'll see. Slothy says, Cordell Powell did more to help his stock today than Kadarius Toney. I know it's crazy. That's a better play, I think, other than the return that he had in the Super Bowl than Toney's had during his time for the Chiefs. Shout out to Rhino, a Ring of Honor member, my guy Rhino, for 29 months, says he's stoked for the season. Let's fucking go, Chiefs. Indeed, my friend. Indeed. All right, everybody. Look, we got to get out of here. It's Saturday. It's Miller time. Working on a Saturday, and I need to rest up for the big long season we got coming. Don't worry, we're going to be back with our regular slate of shows starting on Monday with the Intangibles and Price Carter. You got your Tuesdays with Sterling, Joshua Briscoe, Wednesdays, Wacky Wednesdays, and of course my show, the OG Hour, on Thursday. Matt Verderam will be back with me this week to help break things down. Should be a great week, and then we'll get you ready for that last preseason game. And then after that, man, things get really exciting. Roster predictions, cuts. Do the Chiefs make a trade? Do they pick up some of the veteran guys that are intriguing that don't make rosters? We're in for an exciting rest of August, and then we're going to get a little breather. And then the Chiefs are going to be playing on Thursday night against the Baltimore Ravens. Appreciate everybody who hung out with us today here on the Arrowhead Addict podcast. If you're new to us, check out the link in the description if you want to become one of our fine members of this Chiefs community. And shout out to Adam Best, Matt Connor, who were here on the pregame show. Make sure you're reading Matt Connor's work over at arrowheadaddict.com. They'll have all the breakdowns of everything that happened this weekend. Any news, quotes, anything coming out of the Chiefs kingdom, the Chiefs camp, you'll get it there. And shout out to producer Richard, working with me on a Saturday. And I hope it's Miller time for him as well. We'll see you guys next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.